They were ordered to stand aside, to let it rip, and that was just unacceptable. It was damaging to the morale of the members of our IMPD that has been scarring and left long-term effects on the makeup of our force, and I'm certain that has driven some members from our force to other departments.
We are prioritizing this the funds are there and the funds are available. We need to identify the new location for our shelter, begin to build it and have it in place, and keep raising the live release rates.
For the first time in over 20 years, Indianapolis saw its first televised mayoral debate. You watched it right here on Wish TV and WishTV.com. Mayor Joe Hogsett and Republican challenger Jefferson Shreve debated a multitude of issues throughout the hour, including public safety and crime, housing, and animal welfare. We're covering every angle tonight.
And we start tonight at 11 o'clock with public safety and crime. Shreve, in particular, has made it the #1 issue in his race and in this race. News 8's government reporter Garrett Bergquist is here now to tell us how the debate broke down. Garrett.
Phil, Hogsett and Shreve offered markedly different visions, not only of how safe the city is, but how to make it safer. The disagreements began almost from the first question.
Well, I certainly believe that downtown is the safest neighborhood in all of Indianapolis. Statistics and data show that to be the case.
Perception is reality, but that perception is evidenced in the reality of too much crime, whether it be petty crime, violent crime in our urban core.
Both candidates say Indianapolis needs more police officers. Hogsett says the solution is to raise pay and add positions.
What he doesn't mention is we're 300 officers that I authorized and fully funded. These are positions that wouldn't be there but for me.
While Shreve says the problem is retaining officers.
Oftentimes they just go to departments where they feel better led, better supported and backed. And so this is a leadership deficit challenge, not a fiscal challenge.
To that point, Shreve has demanded to know where Hogsett was during the 2020 riots. We asked Hogsett that very question 2 years ago.
I was at home monitoring what was going on, in constant contact with the leadership at the Emergency Operations Center.
He gave the same response Monday night.
I was working from my home. I was in constant contact with my representatives, with IMPD.
Shreve says that's not what he would have done.
I can tell you that a Mayor Shreve would have been on the scene, whether in an emergency command center or at least on the 25th floor of the city-county building, because that's how you lead.
Both candidates tonight also said they would advocate for changes to Marion County's criminal justice system, and Hogsett pointed to his funding of 3 special U.S. attorneys. I'm Garrett Bergquist for Wish TV, WishTV.com, and like us on Facebook.
Garrett, thank you. We also spent time on housing tonight. News 8's Katira Winfrey asked the candidates about a recent study that found entire blocks are being bought by outside investors, often with cash, and she asked them what could be done to limit outside investor purchase power.
That is a problem increasingly in neighborhoods, not just in our urban core, but in our townships as well. Healthy neighborhoods have a high percentage of individual home ownership, and so we want to discourage outside investors buying up big swaths of housing stock. We also want to encourage local home ownership, and there are programs under the Community Reinvestment Act that we want to encourage our lending community to support people to own their housing. Indianapolis has been attractive as a place to live because it was a relatively low-cost community. But our costs of housing, rents in particular, are going up about 8% a year. We have to add to the supply materially to catch up with the demand so they come into parity and cost increases will come down. And there are things that the mayor can do through the Department of Metropolitan Development and Business and Neighborhood Services to rectify that.
All right. Well, Mr. Hogsett, how would you like to respond to that?
Well, I certainly agree with Jefferson as it relates to housing supply. I mean, housing is such a critical issue. You can't have enough of it. That's why this administration has been very proactive in terms of providing more affordable housing for more people throughout the state. Now, as far as out-of-state landlords, frankly, we have a good track record and a cooperative record with working with the Attorney General and citizens in apartment complexes throughout the state, holding out-of-state landlords who have pocketed monies that they have no business pocketing and not paying their water bills. We held them accountable, and I'm very grateful for that success. So at the end of the day, we've also been responsible for a one-time property tax credit for 90% of homeowners to keep them in their homes, and the anti-displacement pilot project going on over in the Riverside Park area. I'm proud of that, too.
And I asked the mayoral candidates about an issue that doesn't often get much attention: animal welfare. Both highlighted plans to improve animal care services with a plan for a new shelter.
Suppose I may have shown the spotlight on this problem, and it wasn't a partisan sort of play. And from a political standpoint, it was certainly a niche sort of subject of interest. But what we do, or moreover don't do, from the standpoint of animal care services in Indianapolis is shameful. My wife and I have a rescue dog, and I have been out to ACS in the past as a council member. Went out to check a look at the conditions out there on a public adoption day recently, because I knew as a candidate I couldn't just nose around. And what I saw, thinking it would be a public-facing day, was just disastrous in terms of the conditions that the animals were living in. By a report issued back in 2017, that shelter is about 1/3 the size of what it needs to be. The adoptions aren't where they need to be. We don't take animals other than by appointment, which means too many. Strays are left on the streets, are not dropped in or cared for. Too few animal control officers. We have to do a better job than we do.
Mr. Shreve, thank you. Mr. Hogsett, your response, 60 seconds.
Well, as a pet owner, this is very personal to me. And I understand that there has been delays. We have the funding available because of, I think, the fiscal prudence of this administration. We have the funding available to build a state-of-the-art new shelter. That has been in the works for some time. I'm frustrated that it is not already underway, but the site that was originally identified became problematic, and so we've had to delay the actual construction of that shelter a bit. But I'm proud to say that when I took over as mayor 8 years ago, our live release rate from the animal care and control shelter was about 60%. During the course of the Hogsett administration, those figures have been as high as 85 to 90% live release rates. That's progress, and I'd like it to be 100%. That's the goal.